Okay, boys and girls. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I want to welcome all of you on our platforms. We have our Zoom platform, our YouTube and Facebook platform. Pleasant afternoon to you all. And for this afternoon session, I want to implore all of you that all your opinions matter. So you are going to feel free when asked to raise your hands or to type in the chat, that sort of thing, to respond to questions being asked. On the platform with me this afternoon, my co-host, Dr. White, and my supervisor, Mr. Lamar Edgell. I'm yours truly, Itania Simpson, your presenter for this afternoon's session. Warm welcome to you all. Now, as we get into the mode of work, I want you to grab your pencils, your books, your rulers, all the things that you may need to answer today's task. Some of you may have had the opportunity to see the task and would have been able to work through the task. So if you have that as well, feel free to refer to those as the time goes by. I'm seeing Mr. James, Micaiah James, his hand is raised. All right, when we ask, I'm not ready for the raised hands as yet. As soon as the questions are being asked, then we'll go into that. Okay, everyone, let's begin. All right, so the title of today's task is Arranging My New Room. And, you know, as the title suggests, Arranging My New Room, I guess some of you may have the opportunity of actually arranging your new room. And so we're going to look at some of the things that may be associated with such. Here goes. At home, you're about to receive a new room with furniture. You are asked to select and arrange a set of furniture. And the set consists of a bed, sofa, and dresser for your new room. Now, let's look at some of the keywords. We have select and we have arrange. So those things, I want you to bear those words in mind. We're going to be selecting and we're going to be arranging. And what is it that we're going to be arranging? What is it that we're going to be putting in our new room? Dr. White? Seen some raised hands.
Yes, Ms. Johnson, I am here. I'm trying to locate the raised hands. They are going so fast. Okay, let me see who I can unmute so that they can. Okay, Alana Mailer, I'm going to unmute you. Would you like to respond?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, go ahead.
Bed, sofa, and dresser.
Right, that's correct. So we're going to be putting in our new room, we're going to be putting in new bed, a new sofa, and a new dresser. All right, let's see what else is happening here. No, the room is rectangular and has a floor area of 30 square meters, but should have at least 15 square meters of walking space available. Once again, the room is rectangular and has a floor area of 30 square meters, but it should have at least 15 square meters of walking space available. Let's see if we can pick up some keywords here in this sentence.
Would you like somebody to respond, Ms. Johnson?
Sure.
Okay, so I am going to ask David Dunkley. I'm going to unmute you. So I'm going to ask you to respond.
The keywords are square meters and rectangular.
Okay. Let's see if it's correct. Yes, we have. And what's it? What's the number? What's the amount for the square meters? What do we need to consider?
30 centimeters, 30 square meters, and 15 square meters.
13 square meters, that's correct. And 15 square meters, that's also correct. All right, let's continue. You are given a spending limit of $300,000. What would be our keyword right there?
Okay, I'm going to ask Akilah Wright. I'm going to unmute you and ask you to respond. Akilah.
Not hearing Akilah.
It will be $3,000. It will be $300,000, Miss.
$300,000. That's correct. That's our next keyword that we're going to be focusing on. Good job so far, boys and girls. Okay, so your task will require you to outline the room. Arrange your room with suitable furniture. Calculate the available space occupied by the furniture and calculate the costs to purchase the furniture for the new room. So looking at the task given, let's see if we can decide on what is key, what it is that we are supposed to do. Go ahead quickly. So the hands going up quite fast.
Yeah. Would you like somebody to respond?
Sure. Yes, Dr. White.
So Sylvia, I am going to unmute you. Sylvia.
Miss, can you repeat first because I forgot?
I'm asking, let's go through what it is that our task will be. What are the key items that we are going to be required to do? We're looking for keywords now.
We're going to find the perimeter on the area.
No. Listen again. I just read the task. What is it that you're required to do? Yes.
Outline the room.
Right. So the first thing that we want to do is to
outline the room.
So we're going to outline our room. And what's the next one?
Arrange your room.
All right. Can we give somebody else an opportunity to find another keyword?
Okay, I am going to unmute Samson SM. Samson SM. Go ahead.
Not hearing.
Outline the room. Arrange your room.
Give me something else.
Calculate space.
Calculate the available space. Good.
Calculate the cost to purchase.
All right, good job. So we're going to be looking at all of those tasks. Okay, boys and girls, let's get ready. Now, the diagram or first task, furniture selection. So remember, when we started, we're going to be selecting furniture for our new room. And we also said that we're going to be selecting how many furniture. You can just type it in chat or just quickly open. How many furniture will we be selecting?
Martina, would you like to answer? Martina?
3.
All right.
Three.
Three sets of, we are going to be selecting three different furniture. All right. Now, on our screen, boys and girls, I want you to look carefully. I'm seeing the hands raised. I'm going to ask you all kindly to put the hands down. Thank you. That's right. Thank you very much. Now, the diagram illustrates the various furniture from which you can purchase in order to furnish your new room. Each item with each category of furniture is labeled and tagged with its size and cost. Now, boys and girls, can you see the different categories of furniture on the diagram? Type in the chat for me quickly. Seeing the hands going up, but this time I want you to type in the chat for me.
And I'm seeing a
Yes,
number
boss.
of yeses, Miss Johnson.
Thank you. That's good. Yes. So what are the different categories there? Again, we're seeing dressers, beds, and sofa. Now, boys and girls, let's look at each category carefully. What about, we're seeing dresser A. What do you see under each furniture? What do you see there? I want you to tell me. I want to know if you're looking directly at the selection.
Okay, so I'm going to unmute Acacia Stults.
Okay.
Acacia, would you like to respond? All right, I'm not hearing Acacia. I'm going to go over to Galaxy Tab A. Would you like to respond?
The size cost.
The size and the cost. Very good. So we're seeing the size and the cost for each set of furniture. Good job. All right. So boys and girls, quickly. First one, let's look at dresser A. What's the size of dresser A? Size and cost.
20 meters. And 500.
Okay, let's go over to Carlia Thorpe. I'm going to unmute you, Carlia.
Miss,
Yes.
the size is 2 meters times 1 meters, and the cost is $50,000.
Cost is $50,000. Very good. So it's 2 meters by 1 meter for dresser A. All right. Somebody else for dresser B. Quickly, let's go.
All right, let's go over to
I want you to look carefully, everybody.
Melika. Oh,
Go
she's
ahead,
gone.
Melika.
All right, she's gone. I'm going to go to A. Fraser. A. Fraser, I'm going to unmute you. Could you repeat that? A. Fraser?
Not hearing.
All right, we are not hearing A. Fraser. I'm going over to Britannia Thompson. Britannia, I'm unmuting you.
Excuse me, Miss, can you repeat the question?
We're looking at the size of each of the sets of furniture. We're looking at dresser. We're looking at dresser B. What would be the size of dresser B and the cost of size and cost of dresser B?
The size of dresser B is 3 meter times 1 meter, and the cost is $80,000.
Great, good job. 3 meters by 1 meter. All right, dresser C.
All right, I'm going to ask Ronald Clark. Ronald, I'm unmuting you. Go ahead and respond to the question.
Miss, 4 times 1 and 100,000 days.
4 by, very good. All right, let's go into the look at the bed category. Which one would be the smallest bed there and the cost, and which one is most expensive in terms of cost?
All right, I'm going to ask Zuri to respond. Zuri, I'm unmuting you.
In terms of size, which one would be the smallest?
Yes. 2M times 3M. And the cost is $100,000.
Okay. Now, who just responded a while ago? Zuri?
Yes,
That's
Miss.
Zuri, yes.
Zuri, what do you think the M means? Remind me of the M again.
Meter.
Okay, so you're going to say it like that for me now.
2 meter times 3 meter cost.
Meters.
And the cost is $100,000.
All right, thank you. So again, students, which of the beds would be most expensive? Looking at the furniture listing, which of the beds would be most expensive?
Okay,
Dr.
let's
White?
go over to Nicole. I'm sorry. That one is gone. Carlia, so I'm going to unmute you.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm not hearing Carlia. So I think I will have to pick somebody else. So let's go over to Samson SM. I'm going to unmute you. You can go ahead.
Miss, can you repeat, Miss?
Which of the beds would be most expensive? We're looking at the bed category of furniture now. Which one would be most expensive?
Bed B, Miss, because it's expensive because it's $2,000 and the size is 3 meters wide and 3 meters long.
All right, say the cost again for me.
2,000.
No, look again.
200,000.
Very good. So the cost, you are most correct. The cost is $200,000. So it would be the most expensive of all the beds. All right, let's go down to the sofa category now. Let's look at the sofa. Let's see which one is smallest in size and which one is most expensive.
Okay, Natalia, would you like to respond? I'm going to unmute you. That's Natalia. All right, I'm not hearing Natalia. Let's go over to Anika. Anika.
Go ahead.
All right. Okay, let's try Kada. Kada, are you there? I've unmuted.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, sweetheart.
Miss, can you repeat the question, please?
Looking at sofa category now, can you tell us which of the sofa is the smallest and which one is the most expensive?
The smallest is A.
Sofa A, okay. Which one is most expensive?
The most expensive is B.
Kada, are you still there? Okay.
Waiting on, let's go.
All right, let's go over to Caleb. Caleb, I'm going to unmute you.
Miss, can you repeat the question, please?
Okay, boys and girls, the question is, we are looking at category sofa. We're looking at the furniture and we're looking at sofa. We want to find out One of your colleagues said sofa A is the smallest. Now I want to know which one is most expensive.
Miss, the most expensive one is B.
Most expensive. And what is the
Is-
cost?
The
Good, and
cost
what
is the cost is 80,000 and the size is
the cost
2
is?
meter is 80,000 and the size is 2.
Hold on. You're going a little bit fast. 80,000 what?
Yes, 80,000
Meters, feet, dollars, cents, what?
$80,000.
Good job. So the cost is $80,000. Good job. So I see that you are actually paying attention, boys and girls. Let's move on. All right, so boys and girls, based on the budget provided, I want you to recommend 3 combinations of the 3 categories of furniture that could be purchased. Based on the budget provided, recommend 3 combinations of the 3 categories of furniture that could be purchased. Now let's look at this sentence. What is this sentence asking us? What do we need? What are the keywords from this sentence? We can either type it in the chat quickly. Let me hear what the
Based on
keywords
the-
are, or you can raise your hands, whichever one you prefer to do.
Okay. All right, I'm going to unmute Davroy Henry. Can you speak for us? Can you respond to this question? Davroy?
Miss, the one of the words is combination.
So we're looking at combination. Okay, go ahead, continue.
And purchase, miss.
So we have combination, we have purchase. All right, anything else that we need to think about?
Furniture, miss.
We need to think about the furniture. All right, good.
And the
And-
categories, miss.
The categories of furniture, fine. That's it.
They're
And the-
also responding in the chat.
And the budget provided, miss.
And the budget provided. So we need the budget. We're looking at the combination and the furniture to be purchased. So can anybody remind me of the budget? Quick, what was the budget that we were given to work with? What was the budget that we were given to work with? We should be seeing that popping up in the
Okay,
chat.
let's hear from. All right, let's see what they have in the chat. $300,000 I'm seeing.
Good. Good job.
300,000, 300,000.
$300,000. Okay, boys and girls. So we have a table and we're going to be putting in our recommendation. And you also said to me that in order for us to complete this table, we're going to have to look back on our furniture listing. All right. And remember, we're bearing in mind that we have our budget of $300,000. Okay, boys and girls. So now I want you to put in the chat quickly, or you can unmute your mic, depending on what you decide to do. And you're now going to give me some recommendations. Remember that our budget is $300,000 and we're working with dresser, bed, and sofa. So you're going to be giving me the suggestion. So I will take from a student, recommendation 1, recommendation 2, recommendation 3. So go ahead, raise your hands. Those persons, after looking at all of the furniture, let's see which combinations we would go with.
Ms. Johnson, I'm seeing in the chat ABC, CCC, ACA, AAA, and Dresser, CCC, all of that in the chat.
Okay, all right. So I would love for one person to unmute and tell me, for example, if we're looking at dressers, dresser, you have to state dresser A, B, or C, bed, that sort of thing. So I'd prefer one person to unmute and we talk about it.
Okay, I'm going over to Alana and I'm going to ask her to speak. Unmuting you, Alana.
BAC.
Alana,
Okay, Alana, so we're starting with which one first?
B for the dresser.
Okay, so we're going with dresser B. And what's the price for dresser B?
$80,000.
$80,000. Good. What was the next one?
Bed A.
Bed A. What's the cost for bed A?
$100,000.
Good job. And what's the next selection?
Sofa A.
Sofa A. What's the cost?
$60,000.
So what would be our total cost?
$220,000.
$220,000. Look again. Let's check again. We have, let's do the calculations again. And the others of you can type in the chat what the total cost will be. Are you ready?
I'm seeing 240,000. That's a common one, Miss Johnson. 15,000, 5,000.
$240,000 would be our cost. All right. So would that have met the condition of 300,000? Did we exceed our budget or did we go below budget?
Jaleel, would you like to unmute you? Jaleel?
Let's see what they're saying in the chat.
Okay, we're not hearing Jaleel. I'm going to over to. All right, let's go to the chat. Some are saying below. They are saying below the budget. I don't know. Below the budget. Below. Most persons are saying below.
All right, so recommendation 1 would have been within the budget. Good job. So let's hear for recommendation 2. Somebody else to share recommendation 2.
All right. Daimar, would you like to share? I'm going to unmute you. Daimar.
So we're looking for recommendation 2.
Okay, let's.
What would be the selection?
Let's go to Akela Campbell. Akela Campbell, I'm going to unmute you. Would you like to respond? Okay, she has disappeared. Elaine Isaacs, would you like to respond? All right, let's see if we can find somebody who will be willing to respond. Daniela, I'm going to unmute you. Would you like to respond?
Okay, student.
Okay, go ahead, see Andre.
Remember, we're looking at recommendation 2. we had the recommendation 1. So let's see what we can find for our next second recommendation. I'm listening.
Miss,
Yes, go ahead.
so I would want for dressers, I would want dresser B,
So
and then
dresser B,
and for
what's for dresser B?
and the cost would be $80,000.
$80,000.
$80,000.
Good.
And $80,000 for the dresser. So, and then for beds, I want a
Bed A, good. What's the cost for bed A?
bed A will be $100,000.
Let's go over to sofa.
Sofa, I would want B.
What's the cost for B?
The cost would be $80,000.
$80,000.
Miss, I'm calculating the total now.
Okay, go ahead.
And then plus the
So the others of you can put the total in the chat. So we're now totaling the recommendation given for 2, recommendation B, dresser B, bed A, and sofa A. So you can go ahead and put the cost in the total cost in the chat.
$60,000.
Check it again.
$160,000.
Look at it again.
I'm having some.
Let's hear. Let's have
There are
other
some responses in the chat, Mr.
others
Johnson.
are helping you in the chat. Let's hear them, Dr. White.
$260,000, $200,000, and I'm seeing 260,000 many times.
So $260,000 would be the correct response. 260,000. All right, so we have completed recommendation 1, recommendation 2. Let's go down to recommendation 3. Can we have a volunteer for recommendation 3? And we can see, what do we notice about, before we even go to recommendation number 3, have we met the conditions for recommendation 2?
Yes.
Just type in the chat yes or no. Have we met the conditions in terms of the budget?
And they are saying yes, Miss Johnson. Yes, and
Okay.
yes, and I'm seeing no.
Somebody's saying
Many
no.
persons say yes.
Many persons saying yes.
Yes, somebody say no.
I wonder
Yes.
why. Would the person who said no care to share why? Or has that person changed his or her mind? In the meantime, we'd want a volunteer
All
for
right,
recommendation.
Chandria.
Yes.
Chandria said no. Chandria, would you like to share? Chandria, there's no surname, just Chandria. She says no. Would you like to share, Chandria? All right, not hearing from Chandria.
Okay. Can I have a volunteer for recommendation 3? Then we can look back to see that the conditions would, if or yes or no, the conditions would have been met. And then I hope at the end we can convince Sandria. Anybody for recommendation 3?
All right. Daisy Walcott, I'm going to unmute you. Would you like to share recommendation 3?
CAA.
Yes, go ahead, Daisy.
So you have to remember to give me the category first, which is it's dress, or what are we dealing with?
For dresser, I chose C. The size.
Hold
The
on.
size is.
Go ahead.
I chose C for dresser.
What's the cost?
100,000.
100,000. Remember to put on your unit, 100,000.
$100,000, miss.
Okay, good. Next one. What's the category for bed? What's the letter for bed?
The letter I chose for bed is A.
Good.
The cost is $100,000.
$100,000. Good job. Let's hear what your selection is for sofa.
For sofa, the letter I chose is A, and the cost is $60,000.
Okay. What would be the total cost?
The total cost
You
is
can go ahead and type it in the chat as well. What would be the total
the
cost?
total cost is $260,000.
$260,000. Great. Now, would we have met the conditions for all 3 recommendations? Would we have met the conditions? And what do we need to think of when we're talking about the conditions? What do we need?
I'm seeing a number of yeses in the chat.
Number of yeses. Very good. And the condition would have been what again, boys and girls? What would be the condition again that
Ramik, would you like to respond? I'm going to unmute Ramik so you can respond.
Go ahead, Ramik, tell us
So
of the
it's a he or
condition
a
that we are
she.
working with.
Ramik Atkinson.
We're adding, miss.
Condition that we're working with. That's what I'm asking. In order for us to see if we have met the condition in terms of the total cost of the furniture, what condition are we working with?
We're adding up the total cost.
Okay, boys and girls. The condition would have been what? What did we get to work with? We were given something. We were given a budget. Can anybody remember what the budget was that we were given, which would have been the condition that we are working with? Anything in the chat?
We have
It's
we're
just in
not
the chat,
supposed to
there's
spend over
300,000.
300,000, miss.
Very good. The condition that we're working with is we were given a budget of $300,000. And so when we look at all of the recommendations, we see that we were within the budget. We did not exceed the budget of $300,000. Now, boys and girls, you have given us some recommendations, and please note that there are several others that would have met the condition. And I am going to be sharing a few of those recommendations with you as well. So here we have recommendation 1, dresser C, bed C, and sofa C. And can you see what the cost is there, the total cost? Would we have met the condition there? Did we exceed, or did we stay within budget? Just type in the chat as we critique all 3 of them. We look at recommendation 2. Did we stay within or above budget? Recommendation 3. Did we stay within or above budget? What's happening in the chat, Dr. White?
I'm seeing a number of yeses. We are within, we are staying within the budget.
Okay, good job, boys and girls. So far, we have completed our recommendation. We have selected three recommendations, and we're going to continue with our task. Now, we have some new information. The new room is rectangular and has a floor area of 30 square meters, but should have at least 15 square meters of walking space available. Select one of the recommendations made above that meets the requirement for walking space. Let me repeat. The new room is rectangular and has a floor area of 30 square meters, but should have at least 15 square meters of walking space available. Select one of the recommendations made above that meets the requirement for walking space. Now, boys and girls, before we even go into this task, I would like someone to explain what these two sentences are saying. What do you understand? I want to get your understanding of the sentences before we go any further. So, I seen the hands going up. Seeing the hands going up, you can choose someone, Dr. White, unmute and allow that person to speak. Let me hear, boys and girls, what is your understanding of these two questions?
Okay, I'm going to ask Britannia Wright. Britannia, I'm unmuting you. You can go ahead. Britannia Wright.
Go ahead, Britannia. What is your understanding of the sentences? Not hearing Britannia.
Okay, let's go over to Janelle Taylor. Janila Taylor.
Miss, I will draw the rectangle, Miss. And if you do not know that 10 plus 5 equals 15 and 15 plus 15 equals 30. So, Miss, I would put the 10 at the long part of the meter, Miss, and the 5 at the short part of the meter, which is at the side.
All right. Okay, thank you for your explanation, but I still want, let me hear what is it that you understand before you tell me about drawing the rectangle, all of that. It says the new room is rectangular and has a floor area of 30 square meters, but it should have at least 15 square meters of walking space available. I want to know what that sentence means. What do you understand? What do you understand from that sentence before I even go any further? Anyone else wants to share? So we're not ready to draw the diagram as yet. We want to understand what is happening. What is this saying to us? Anybody? Anything in the chat?
Okay. Jade-Ann, would you like to respond? I'm going to unmute you. Jade-Ann. Jade-Ann Riley. All right, let's go to the chat and Ms. Johnson.
Okay, Dr. White, let's hear what's happening in the chat.
Okay. Like a person say me. All right, somebody's saying to subtract. Let me find that one. All right, they are going so fast, Ms. Johnson. The responses are coming in so fast.
All right, we are
subtract
seeing
15 from 15 meters from 30 meters.
okay. 15 meters from 15 square meters from 30 square meters. All right, as I'm still not getting the understanding. Let me read the sentence once more. The new room is rectangular and has an area of 30 square meters, but should have at least 15 square meters of walking space. Now, boys and girls, when we're going to be putting in our furniture, when we're going to put our furniture in our room, what are the things that we need to consider? Let me put the question this way and see if you will understand a little bit more what the question or the sentences are saying. See, David Dunkley's hand is raised. Dr. White, probably we can unmute him.
Okay, let me go to David. All right.
Go ahead, David.
Okay, David, I'm going to unmute you.
Yes. You should find the area of all the furniture and then add them up and subtract from the total area of 30 meters square, and then check if you have at least 15 square meters left of walking space.
Okay. All right, that's as close as it is. Good job, very good job. So David went ahead to give us the calculations. So basically what he's saying is that we have to find the area of the furniture to be able to know the amount of walking space that we have available. And based on the condition that we are given, we should have at least 15 square meters of walking space. So we have to think of that. And when we're going to make our selection, we have to bear in mind that the furniture will meet, or the recommendations that we have should give us the at least 15 square meters of walking space. David went ahead and he gave us the calculations. So we're going to be using the table below to capture the area of the floor covered with the furniture and the area of walking space in the room. Listen, boys and girls. Now, what information will we need, or what will we need to assist us in completing this table? What will we need to remind ourselves of again in order for us to complete this table? Type it in the chat quickly or raise your hand, whichever one.
Okay, let me go over to a raise hand. Brother Andre. Brother Andre, you can go ahead and speak.
Yes, miss.
Go ahead.
Go ahead and respond to the answer to the question.
I'm asking, what is it that we're going to need to assist us with completing this table? What information will we need to use to assist us to complete this table?
The walking space of the room should be.
All right, we are not hearing.
Yeah, he's speaking. He's the walking space of the room.
Yeah,
yes.
he's
So
responding.
what would we need to look back on? What information would we need to look back on? Anybody else?
All right, Katrina, would you like to help him? I'm going to unmute you. Katrina,
Yes, miss. Miss, can
would
you
you
repeat?
like to help?
Okay, boys and girls, we are going to be completing this table below, but in order for us to be able to make our our recommendation. What did we do earlier on that will help us with this question? Remember, we did something earlier on, what it was that we did again. What information did we gather that will allow us to complete this table? Anybody? Anything in the chat, Dr. White?
Okay, let's go over to the chat and see what is
Okay, I'm seeing
over
somebody
there.
saying, right? Seeing somebody saying our recommendations that we made, the recommendations, all the recommendations.
Yes.
All right.
Mhm. Right.
So we are going to be looking at the recommendations. But before we do that, there's something else that we would need, boys and girls. All right, so there's a little hint on my screen. Notice there's a grid, and also we have the furniture, the category of furniture there. Let's look over on the grid. So this is what is going to help us. Now, earlier on in the chat, or earlier on, one of the participants said that we're going to need to find the area of the furniture, add up all of the furniture, the total area of the furniture, and then we're going to subtract that from the total area of the floor space, and we would see how much walking space we have left. Now, that information is key. Yes, we're going to be needing to find the area. Now look at the grid that we have on screen. Is everybody seeing? What can you see? What can you tell me about the grid? Seeing some raised hands. What can you tell me about the grid? What features do we see there? What do they mean?
Okay, let's take Britannia Thompson. Britannia, would you like to respond?
Yes, miss.
I've unmuted you. Go ahead, sweetheart.
I see the square.
Not hearing you.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Looking at the grid, what do you notice about the grid? Tell us the things that you see. What do they mean?
I noticed that the grid has squares, and
Right.
they mean that each square represents 1 meter.
Look at it again. Based on the key, each square is what?
1 meter square.
One squared meter. Good. What do you understand? 1 squared meter. What does that mean?
It's 1 meter of the room.
It's what?
1 meter of the room.
It's 1 meter of the room. Anybody else wants to help? It's 1
Caleb,
meter.
I'm going to unmute you. Would you like to help to respond to the question?
Yes, may you repeat the question, please?
Okay, boys and girls, want you to look at the grid. And in looking at the grid, I want you to look at the key. What does the square represent? And what do you understand from that? So the speaker before said that it represents 1 squared meter, but what do you understand from it meaning being 1 squared meter? What do you understand? What is your understanding of that?
Miss, when it mean 1 square meter means that the squares that you see inside the grid, they equal 1 meter, and you're supposed to draw the rectangle out of it, and then you start putting the furniture.
All right, so we're going to be drawing the rectangle. Sorry, we're going to be drawing our room on the grid, yes. But I wanted us to focus on the key that 1 square is equal 1 squared meter. Anybody can tell me what do you understand from that? I hear in a yes, miss.
This is me.
Go ahead.
Okay, Galaxy. Okay, that's Caleb.
Caleb is speaking.
Go ahead, Caleb.
So it's from the 1 square meter. I think that all of the squares inside the grid equal 1 square meter. So that's the key.
Okay, good. There's something else. Anybody else want to try?
Okay, Galaxy Tab A, would you like to respond? Unmute you.
Thank you so much, Caleb, for sharing.
Yes, miss.
So we're getting help from somebody else.
Go ahead, Galaxy Tab A. Go ahead, Galaxy Tab A.
So as you can see, the grid 1 square equals 1 meter square. So if you would draw this triangle, perhaps you have 10 and 5. The length would be 5 and the width would be 10.
Caleb, who is speaking?
No, miss.
Okay, thank you, Galaxy A tab.
Galaxy Tab A was speaking.
All
my
right,
name is
Connie.
my name is Janicia.
Okay, thank you, Janisa, for sharing. Not quite there, but let's explore a little bit more. Okay, boys and girls. If you notice that the key says that 1 square represents 1 squared meter, what that means is that each side of the square is 1 meter. Each side of the square is 1 meter. So, because each side of the square is 1 meter, then the area of this square is actually 1 squared meter. Area of the square. So that is how we end up with one of the squares equal to 1 squared meter. Okay, boys and girls? Okay, boys and girls. Now, let's look at each of the category. So remember, our aim now is to calculate the area of each of the furniture. So what remind me? We have dresser A. So we're starting off with the dressers. We're starting off with dresser A. What is the size of dresser A again? Just type it in the chat quickly, please. What's the size of dresser A? And we're going to, how is it that we can represent dresser A on our grid?
I'm seeing 2 meters. 2 meter by 1 meter. 2 meters, 3 meters.
Good, 2 by 1. All right.
Number of 2 meters. Yeah.
Okay, boys and girls. So we're going to represent dresser A on our grid. And this is one representation. Here we have 2 by 1, 2 by 1 meter. Another way we could represent dresser A, it's actually, we can represent it as a 1 by 2 meters. All right, now boys and girls, we want to find the area of dresser A. We're going to do this by counting our squares. So I'm going to start with the first rectangle, and we're going to be counting our squares and seeing how many squares we actually have here. So let's count. We have 1 square shaded, 2 squares shaded. Let's look at the next rectangle and see in the different dimension, the 1 by 2 rectangle. Let's see what happens there. 1 square shaded, 2 squares shaded. So it means therefore, boys and girls, that our area is actually 2 square meters. Our area is actually 2 square meters. No,
Meter square, about 2 square meter.
no, it's actually 2 square meters. That's how we say it, 2 square meters. Just like the key, 1 square meter. So we are actually 2 square meters. That's the correct way of saying it, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's move on to dresser B. Now, quickly, boys and girls, not rushing you, but in terms of how quickly you share in the chat, let's look at the dimensions of dresser B. We have 3 by 1 meter. How can we represent 3 by 1 meter? And what would be the area? So I'm going to place it on our grid. We can represent it as a 3 by 1. Any other representation coming up in the chat quickly?
1 by 1, 1 by 3.
Very good. A 1 by
seeing
3.
3.
Very good. 1 by 3. Now, with that in mind, what would be our area of dresser B? What would be the area of dresser B? Just type it in the chat quickly.
3 meter square.
3 meters. I'm seeing 3 meters. I'm seeing 3 square meters. 3 meters, 3 square
Good job.
meters.
So the answer is
Some with the
3.
square, some without.
Remember, boys and girls, we have to have our squared meters on. It may be a little bit difficult to type it in the chat. So we need to probably use the words. So the correct answer is 3 squared meters. Good job, 3 squared meters. All right, boys and girls, let's go to dresser C. Representation of dresser C.
Miss,
Go ahead.
1 by 4 meters.
We have 1 by 4 meters. That's correct. And what would be the other one? And we have the
4 by 1.
4 by 1. So what would be the area of this dresser? What would be the area of this dresser? Good job.
In the chat, Miss Johnson, 4 square meters.
4 square meters.
4
Good
square
job.
meters of.
Good job, boys and girls. Good job. All right, so we have calculated the area of the dresser, 4 squared meters. Let's go down to the beds now. So we're looking at bed A. Let's represent bed A on our screen, on our grid. And you're seeing 2 by 3. Is that a correct representation of the grid? Do you agree? Yes or no? Is that a correct representation based on
No,
the slide?
miss. No, miss.
It isn't. Why?
As there's 6. There's 6 square. There's 6 squares inside the box. Inside the rectangle. It's 2 by 3.
Yes, so aren't you seeing 2 by 3 in terms of the dimensions? We're not talking about the squares inside, no, we're talking about the dimensions. Aren't
Miss,
you
can I
seeing,
do it?
hold on, let's, aren't you seeing 2 by 3?
Yes, miss.
Good, so are we correct with this representation?
Yes, miss.
All right, good job. What about this one? Is this a correct representation of bed A?
Yes, miss.
Are we still seeing 2
Yes,
by
miss.
3 or
Yes,
3
miss.
by? Very good. So what would be the area then of bed A?
Miss.
What would be the area of bed A?
Miss, the area would be 6 centimeters square.
No, we haven't. There is no centimeter there. Look again.
Oh. No. No, 6 meters square.
What would come first? Who is talking, by the way?
Me, Miss Caleb.
That's Caleb.
Okay, Caleb, let's say it the correct way now.
2 by 3 meters.
No, man, you were giving me the area. Remember area? You were giving me the area. But you were saying 6 meters square. I want you to give me the correct terminology. I want you to use it the right way. What would come before? It would be 6 what?
6 times.
No. 6.
Yes.
Anybody else want to help Caleb? Anybody else wanting to help Caleb? Let's see what's in the chat.
Campbell, would you like to help Caleb?
Yes, miss.
Go ahead. Okay, boys and girls. So the response is 6 squared meters. 6 squared. So the area is 6 squared meters of bed A. Let's go over to bed B. Let's go over to bed B. Let's look at the representation of bed B. Is that a correct representation of bed B?
Yes, miss.
Can I represent bed B any other way?
Yes, miss.
How?
The other, like, facing up. Upright.
How you can I have another? Is there another dimension for bed B? Look at bed.
No.
Anybody
No.
else in agreement with Caleb?
No, miss, there's no other dimension because they look the same. If I turn around, no, they look the
All
same.
right. And why is that, Caleb?
Because it's the same length and size.
Yes, it's the same length and size. So it's actually a square. Very good, Caleb. So what would be the area of this square?
Let me count. 1, 2, 3. 9 square meters.
9
9
square meters. Good job. 9 square meters. 9 square meters. I'm not hearing anybody else in the chat. I'm not hearing anybody else participating. What's happening with all the others on the platform? So yes, indeed, Caleb is correct. 9 square meters. Want others? Let's see if we can give somebody else an opportunity to speak. We have bed C. Let me put the representation up. Is that a correct representation of bed C?
Yes, miss.
Who is that?
Me, Caleb again. Ow.
Okay, can we ask Jodian to respond to the question? Jodian, I'm unmuting you.
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss. Actually, you can repeat the question.
Yes,
Would you like to respond to the
Jodian, I
question?
want you to look at the dimensions. We're looking at bed C now, and the size of bed is 2 by 4. Is it the correct representation that I have on the grid?
Yes,
Are you seeing
miss.
the correct representation? So
Yes,
you're
miss.
agreeing with that. Very good. What about that one? Is that a correct representation of bed C?
No, miss.
No? Why not? Look at it. Are you not seeing 4 by 2?
Yes, miss.
Okay. So it would still be the same. Good?
Yes,
Yes,
Now,
miss.
let's go. Can we hear what the area oh, I went ahead and clicked too quickly. So the area of bed C would have been 8 squared meters. Okay, boys and girls. So we're doing quite well. And I know that you would have some idea now how it is that we can calculate the area of sofa. We're down to sofa now. The area of sofa A. And we are looking at the representation. Do you agree it's the correct representation of sofa A?
Yes, miss. Yes, miss.
Okay, all right. So what would be the area of sofa A, boys and girls?
Okay, let's ask Orlando. Orlando, would you like to respond? I'm unmuting you. Orlando Brooks. All right, let's go over to Darrell. Darrell Neal, would you like to respond?
Yes, miss. Miss, can you ask the question again, miss?
What would be the area of sofa A? What would be the area of sofa A? There's a representation on the grid, boys and girls. What would be the area of sofa A based on what we have done
4
so
meters,
far?
miss.
4 squared
Miss, the
meters.
area would be 4 meters.
4 squared meters. The area would be 4 squared meters. Good job. All right, boys and girls, let's go over to sofa B.
Yes, miss.
Look at the representation of sofa B. Can we say it's a correct representation? Are we seeing a 2 by 3 representation there?
Yes, miss.
All right. What about this one? Are we still seeing a similar representation? This time 3 by 2.
Yes, miss.
Good
Yes, miss.
job. So what would be the area of sofa B?
6 meters, miss.
6 squared meters. What would be the area? 6 squared meters. So remember, boys and girls, we're not to leave off our units. So this time we're looking at area. So it is squared meters, 6 squared meters. And the final one in the category is sofa C. Let's look at the representation of sofa C. We have are we seeing 4 by 1?
4 meters.
Good. What about this one? Is it the
So,
same?
4
Is it correct?
meters.
Yes, you
miss.
are correct, Darren. The area is actually 4 squared meters. So boys and girls, let's look back at our question. We are asked to see whether or not our recommendations would have met. So we're going to actually look at our recommendations. In order for us to see if we're correct, we first had to find the area of our furniture. Okay, now boys and girls, we looked at the area. Remember, we're looking at the area of the floor and the area of the walking space. And now we're going to complete our table. Are you still with me, boys and girls? Good job. Yes, I'm seeing yes in the chat. We're all
They're
together.
saying yes, 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 in the chat.
All right. So remember now we're going to be looking at the table, or we're going to complete the table to see which of the recommendations we're going to be using. Now, boys and girls, we found the area of our furniture, and we know what the walking space is supposed to be. We know the area of the floor. What information do we need to remind ourselves in order for us to be able to complete this table? So boys and girls, remember now we have to be thinking, we have to be remembering all that we have done so far, all that you have written down. And now we're going to draw on all those information. What information you think we're going to need to be able to complete this table? Anybody writing in the chat or anybody talking? And remember, you need to listen carefully. What information do we need to complete this table? What information do we need to complete this table?
In the
Seems
chat, I'm seeing the area of the furniture.
good, and I'm very good. And I'm also seeing the recommendations.
Yes.
Good job. So you are actually with me, boys and girls. Good job. So here we have the recommendations coming up. Here we have the recommendations coming up, and we're going to have our furniture listing. And boys and girls, earlier on, we went through the exercise of calculating the area. So now we can look at it and see which of these will be able to complete our recommendation. So we're going to be finding the area. Are you with me, boys and girls? So our recommendation, look at the screen carefully, look at our furniture. So let's go into calculating. So boys and girls, remember we learned how to calculate area, so we're going to use up that skill now. And can you tell me what would be the area of dresser C? Because recommendation 1 says C, C, C. We're using dresser C, bed C, and sofa C. Can you tell me then what's the area of dresser C? Somebody just type it quickly in the chat. All right, good. I'm seeing 4 square meters.
Yes.
Good job. What about the area for bed C? Ethan Greenwood raised his hand.
I'm seeing 8 meters and 4 square meters and 8 square meters in the chat.
In the chat.
And 9 square meters.
Oh, boys and girls, we need to look carefully and think about what it is that we did. Good job for the comments, but let's check our answers again. Remember what we did in calculating the area of the furniture. So let's try once more. The area of bed C. Want to ensure everybody is able to do the calculations correctly.
They're saying 8 square meters.
So we are all in agreement now. Good job, boys and girls. All right, boys and girls, let's go over to sofa. Recommendation number 1, sofa C. Recommendation number 1, sofa C. What would be the area of sofa C?
I'm seeing 4 square meters.
Good job. Good job. And you're all correct. Good job, boys and girls. Now, what would be the total area of the furniture selected if we were to use recommendation 1? What would be the total area? So let's put on our thinking caps, boys and girls, and see how quickly we can come up with the solution.
In the chat, I'm seeing 16 square meters.
16 square meters.
I'm seeing 14 square meters.
Okay, good job. Good job at the attempts, boys and girls. So let's do our calculation again. So 16 is coming up. And 16 square meters is the correct answer. For those boys and girls who got a different answer, look back on your calculations and see where you went wrong. Good job, all of you. So we were able to calculate the area of for the furniture for recommendation 1. Let's go ahead now and do the same for recommendation 2. Now, recommendation 2, we have dresser C, bed A, and sofa B. So let's find where those are on our chart and let us now complete the area. What would be the area for dresser C? And this should be pretty easy.
I'm seeing 8 square meters in the chat. I'm seeing 4 square meters.
4 square meters. Let's remember, boys and girls, and dresser would look at it. You can even look at the table and just come up with the answer, but I don't want you to do that really, because you should practice finding the area so it sticks with you. All right, so we have 4 square meters. What about bed A? what would be the area for bed A?
Okay, I'm seeing 6 square meters in the chat.
6 square meters seem to be dominant. Good
Yes.
job. Good job, boys and girls, 6 square meters. And let's go over to sofa B. Let's go over to sofa B, boys and girls. What would be the area of sofa B, boys and girls?
I'm still seeing 6 square meters, 4 square meters.
Okay, boys and girls. So again, you need to look at your calculations. Boys and girls, look at the calculations, see where you went wrong. Let's come up with the total area for recommendation 2. Let's come up with the total area for recommendation 2, boys and girls.
Okay, in the chat, I'm seeing 12 square meters. I'm seeing 16. I'm seeing 14, but I think 16 is dominant.
16 is dominant. Good job, boys and girls. And so I'm seeing, you know, boys and girls, sometimes we are in a little bit of haste and we might just do something wrong. So it's always good to double check your answers so we can all be on the same page. All right, boys and girls, good job. Let's continue to complete our table. So we want to now find what the area of the furniture recommended in recommendation number 3. So we have dresser C, bed A, and sofa C. So seeing some hands raised immediately, Dr. White.
Okay.
Darrell Neal's hand is up.
Let's go over to Jada Chambers. Jada, would you like to respond? Jada?
Yes, miss. Can you
Would you
repeat the
like to
question?
Okay, boys and girls, we are completing the table, recommendation 3. We want to find the area of each of the furniture recommended. We have dresser C, bed A, and sofa C. So we are completing the table, boys and girls. We're completing the table. Recommendation number 3. What is the area of dresser C?
The area for dresser C is 4 meters square.
Okay, so we have 4 square meters. Good job.
The area for bed is 6 square meters.
6 square meters. Good job.
And the area for sofa is 4 square meters.
4 square meters. Good job. What would be the total area for recommendation number 3? For the furniture, for recommendation number 3, what would be the total area?
All right, let's go over to Danelia. Danelia, would you like to respond?
Miss, can you repeat the question, please?
What would be the total area of the for recommendation 3? What would be the total area? We looked at the area of the furniture, C, A, dresser C, bed A, and sofa C. Now we have the area for those 3 selections. What would be the total area?
Miss, 14 meters square.
14
square meters.
That's correct. 14 square meters. So now, boys and girls, look, recommendation 1, total area 16 square meters. Recommendation 2, total area 16 square meters. And recommendation 3, total area is 14 square meters. Boys and girls, now that we have calculated the total area, what will we need in terms of information? So listen carefully now, boys and girls. We have the total area. We have the total area of the floor covered based on the total furniture, the area of the furniture, and we have the total area of the floor. Now, what is it that we need to be, what is it that we need to find? We have the area of the floor covered and we have the total area of the floor. What do we need to find?
Let's go
And-
over to Amisha. Amisha, would you like to respond?
Go ahead, Amisha.
All right, let's see if we can get Samson SM.
Let me repeat the question. Boys and girls, remember, based on our information given, we know that we need to have 30 square meters of floor area, or area of the floor is 30 square meters. We also need to know that the furniture, we have the furniture in our room and we have walking space and everything must equal to 30 square meters. Now we have area of the floor covered. So we found that out by finding the area of the furniture. And we have the total area of the floor. What is it now that we need to be able to find? Based on our information, what do we need to find?
The perimeter.
Okay. Perimeter. We're looking at the table. Thank you for your response, but we're looking at the table that we're completing. So we have, what is it that we need to find to complete our table? That's the question I'm asking. So we have the total area of the floor and we have the area of the floor covered, which would be the area of the furniture. What is it that we need to find in order to complete our table?
The area of the walking space and the area.
The area of the walking space. Thank you. Very good. The area of the walking space. So now, boys and girls, we have recommendation 1. And we know, by the way, boys and girls, let me see how many persons remember. How much walking space should we have available? Let me see who remembers. I see in the chat lighting up. How much walking space should we have?
In the chat, overwhelming 15 square meters.
Very good. Good job, boys and girls. So you are remembering. We should have 15 square meters. So now, boys and girls, let's see our recommendations and see if when we use recommendation 1, will we have the amount of walking space needed? I want to see who going. I see the chat lighting up. I don't even ask the question good. So I want to know if we should go ahead with recommendation 1. Would we have the amount of walking space that we should have? Would we have the amount of available walking space?
Ms.
Anybody
Jackson,
want?
I'm seeing no, with a few yeses in the chat.
Would somebody like to explain?
All right, let's go over to.
And what would we need to do to find the area of the walking space?
Ramisha Woodhouse, would you like to speak? I'm going to unmute you.
What do we need to do to find the area of the walking space?
Ramisha Woodhouse.
Miss, can you repeat the question, please?
What would we need to do to find the area of the walking space? So we have, you're saying no, we don't, the recommendations would exceed or would not work. I want you to tell me, how would you arrive at the walking space?
Miss, I would minus.
Go ahead.
Miss, I would minus 15 from 30.
Look at recommendation 1 again. Look at recommendation 1. What is the total area there? What is the total area?
16, Miss.
16. So you're going to subtract
16 from 30.
16 square meters from 30 square meters. And what would be left? What amount would be left?
14, Miss.
14 square
Square
meters.
meters.
Would that meet the condition that we are supposed to have?
No, Miss.
What is it that we're supposed to have? Remind me again.
30 square meters.
In terms of walking space. If we have 14, would that be what the conditions require?
No, Miss.
No. So we would not get 15 square meters of walking space if we were to go ahead with recommendation 1. What about recommendation 2? Do you think recommendation 2 would give us the 15 meters, at least 15 meters of walking space?
No, Miss, it's still 14.
It is still 14. All right, good. Let's see, what about recommendation 3 then? Would it give us the available walking space needed?
14 from 30. 14.
So the chat lighting up.
1.
Okay, let's go over to the chat. And I'm seeing yes, 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 with a few no's.
Okay, boys and girls. Now, anybody would like to tell me again, how would we arrive at the available walking space? How would we get the answer?
All right, I'm going to ask Dejanay.
Go ahead, Dejanay.
Currently. Henry, would you like to speak?
Yes, Miss.
Go ahead.
By taking away 60 from 30.
Okay, so you're halfway there, Dejanay, but remember we're now looking at recommendation number 3. What's the total area for recommendation number 3?
Is
14 square meters.
14. So what will we be taking away from 30 square meters?
14 square meters.
14
from
square
30.
meters. And what would be left as walking space?
16 square meters.
16 square meters. So boys and girls, which of the recommendations would you agree would meet our criteria or would fit the condition?
Miss, recommendation 3.
Recommendation 3. Very good. And what is recommendation 3? What are the letters that we'll be choosing for recommendation 3?
C, 4
Go.
meters. A, 6 meters. C, 4 meters, which is equal to 14 meters.
14 square meters. Very good. So our recommendation would be recommendation CAC. Dresser C, bed A, and sofa C. The area of the floor covered, 14 square meters, and the area of the walking space would be 16 square meters. So that would use up our entire area of the floor, which is 30 square meters. Good job, boys and girls. Okay, boys and girls, so we're coming down nicely. Now, here we are at another section of our task. Using the selected recommendation, boys and girls. Represent the room on the grid below. Ensure to label the floor plan to highlight the following things. So now, boys and girls, we are given a grid, and earlier on we looked at the grid and we examined the grid. Now our task requires us to represent the room on the grid, represent the door of the room, And they have given us the measurement, which is 1 meter wide. And also we are to represent the furniture on the room. So, and we can't do this without putting on our label. Okay, boys and girls? Now, boys and girls, what would we need to be able to answer this question? What is the key, or what do you understand from this? It wants, or a task wants us to highlight our room. That's one of the first things they want us to put on it. What do we know about the room? Anybody remembers anything about the room?
Let's go to Loria. Loria, would you like to respond?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
You need to know that the 30 square meters for the floor and the 15 square meters for the walk-in space.
All right, so we know that our room, and it said something earlier on, you know, we know that it is 30, our room has a floor space of 30 square meters. Very good. So boys and girls, if we know that the room is 30 square meters, you know what I want you to do for me now? Give me some possible dimensions of our room. Looking at the grid, even though we're not talking about the grid just yet, I just want you to come up with some possible dimensions that we could represent on our grid. Possible dimensions of our room. Possible, and remember our room is a rectangular room with a floor space of 30 square meters. So I want you to give me some possible dimensions.
Okay,
Not
Ms.
seeing the chat.
Johnson.
Go
In the
ahead,
chat,
Dr. White.
I'm seeing 6 times 5.
6 by 5, good.
15 by 2.
15 by 2.
10 by 3.
10 by 3.
I see a 5
Remember,
by
boys,
2.
remember, boys and girls, it would be 5 meter by 2 meter.
Yes, yes, Ms. Johnson.
All right, that
I-
one, we need to go back and look at it again. Remember that our aim is to have 30 square meters. So let's check our calculations again, boys and girls. Would 5 meters by 2 meters give us 30 square meters? Let's check our dimensions again. So boys and girls, have we exhausted the list? All right, boys and girls. So on our grid, we're going to show you some of the samples of what the room could look like based on the dimensions. So here, our first representation. What would be our representation here?
Nothing in the chat as yet.
Nothing in the chat as yet, seeing the raised hands. What would be our represent?
Let's go to the raise hand. Let's take Duana Grant. Duana Grant, would you like to respond?
15 by 2.
15, remember to use up our units. 15 meters by 2 meters. Very good. Good job. 15 meters by 2. All right, boys and girls, let's look at another representation. What would be this representation? What would be this representation?
Okay, I'm going to ask Joshua. Joshua Henry, would you like to respond?
Go ahead, Joshua.
This 10 by 5.
Looking 10 by 5.
Yes,
Okay,
miss.
Joshua, look back on the grid. Look back on the grid, Joshua. I remember our area is supposed to be 30 square meters. So whatever our dimensions are, we are to end up with 30 square meters. So look back on the screen, look back on the grid, and see what this representation is. I want you to tell me the dimensions of this representation. Anybody wants to help Joshua?
All right, let's go to Daryl. Daryl, would you like to help
Good job.
Joshua?
Yes, miss.
Go ahead, sweetheart.
Miss, it would be 5 by 6, miss.
It would be 5 by 6. Remember, 6 meters and our 5 meters. Remember to include our units, boys and girls. So our representation would be 5 meters by 6 meters. Good job. All right, boys and girls, let's look at another representation of our room. What would be the dimensions this time? What would be the dimensions this time?
Daimar, would you like to respond? All right, Natir and Daimar. Let's go over to Akeelia. Akeelia, would you like to respond? Akeelia Ward?
Yes, miss.
Go ahead, sweetheart.
Miss, it will be 6 by 5, miss.
6 meters by 5 meters. Good job. Good job. Okay, boys and girls. So there you have it. You are looking at, or you have looked at the different representation. And remember earlier on, you gave me other dimensions, but based on our grid, we were not able to express it, but we were able to come up with other dimensions or possible dimensions of our room. For today's purposes, we are going to be working with our 5 by 6 dimension. Now, boys and girls, we remember we have our room, and now we are asked to place on our grid our room. We're to label our room, and we're to put in our door. So here on my grid, we have our room. Now, boys and girls, in order for us to furnish our room, we need to remember our recommendation. And the recommendation is what we are going to be working with. We can't change at this time of the question. We have to continue with what we had selected. So our recommendation, CAC. Remember that, boys and girls. Now, boys and girls, we're looking at what our room or the furniture, just to remind ourselves of what the furniture would look like. So on our room, we have our door. And remember, we were asked to label. Now, boys and girls, based on our recommendation, we are now going to place our furniture in our room. And boys and girls, you are now going to tell me exactly what it is that we're going to be doing. How is it that we're going to be placing the furniture in our room? Boys and girls, are you with me? All right, let's go. So you're going to be telling me now, based on our recommendations. Remind me again, what is it that we're going to be placing in our room based on the recommendation? Somebody just do it quickly.
I'm seeing size in the chat.
Okay, but what is the recommendation? I'm asking you for the recommendation. Who remembers what the recommendation is?
Okay, let's go over to a raised hand.
Okay.
Jaden Smith, would you like to respond? Jaden Smith?
Go ahead, Jaden.
Yes, miss.
What's the recommendation we're working with?
A C.
Are you sure, Jaden? Are you
Yes,
looking
miss.
at the screen, Jaden?
Yes, miss.
Look again, Jaden. What is the recommendation? What recommendation number did we all agree on, boys and girls? And if you look on the screen, you'll see the recommendation is right there.
In this part, I'm seeing CAC, a number of CAC.
CAC. So we're looking at recommendation CAC. What does the C, which of the furniture does the first C represent? Which of the furniture does the first C represent?
Dresser.
Dresser, good job. And the A represents?
Bed.
And the C represents? The other C
Sofa.
represents?
Sofa.
So we're going to start off with which one first?
The dressers.
The dresser. All right, so we have someone talking. So I'm going to go for my dresser and you're going to tell me where to put my dresser. So first of all, there's my dresser and we're using dresser what again?
Dresser C.
Do I
4
have
by
the
1.
correct 4 by 1? Do I have the correct representation of dresser C?
Yes, miss.
All right. So tell me then, where will I place dresser C?
In the room.
Where in the room would you want me to place dresser C? Remember now, you know, boys and girls, we are putting in the furniture on our grid. So where in my room will I be placing dresser C? You're telling me where to put it. Where would you put dresser C? See, I'm the moving person. I'm moving, ready to move. Who is speaking to me? You stop talking?
Daimar was speaking.
Daimar, are you still there?
Yes, miss.
Yes, so tell me where you would you like me to put the dresser? Would you like me to place it at the top, at the bottom, left, right, center, where? Tell me, man.
Left.
And to put it left where?
In front of the door.
Left in front of the door. Okay. All right, so Daimar decided to put his dresser left in
no,
front.
at the bottom, at the bottom.
All right, he has changed his mind. Time to put it at the bottom.
At the right.
Bottom right. All right, Daimar. Okay, I remember once we put in our dresser, what do we need to do after we have put in the dresser? What do we need to do?
Label it.
Very good. We need to label. So I'm bringing in my label for my dresser. Good job. Okay, let's have somebody else assist us, Daimar. Can I have somebody else telling me what's the next furniture I'm going to be placing into the room and where? Seeing the hands going up, Dr. White.
Okay, Cassandra Williams, would you like to respond?
Yes,
What's the next furniture that we're going to be placing in the room and where should I place it?
The bed.
The bed. Where do you want me to put the bed? Let me bring in the bed. All right, Cassandra, look at our bed. Does that meet the requirement in terms of the size? Is that the correct size of the bed? Is that a correct representation of the bed?
Yes, miss.
Very good. So where would you like me to put the bed?
At the left.
At the left, where? Top, bottom, middle, where?
Bottom left.
Bottom left, right here. This is where you want it to go?
Miss, it did not move on my screen.
That's where you want it to go?
Yes, Miss.
Sure. All right. Good job. All right. So Cassandra, what is missing? What do I need to put there? What do I need before I go any further, Cassandra? What do I need to do?
Label it.
Label it. So I'm going to bring over the word bed. All right, good job. Anybody else? I have the sofa now to put in the room.
All right, I'm going to unmute Davia. Davia, would you like to respond?
Yes, Miss.
Go ahead.
I would put
All right,
Ja-
so the next thing that we're putting in is what again? Just remind the rest of boys and girls. What is the
sofa C.
So we're carrying in sofa C. All right, so I have sofa C. Can you see sofa C?
Yes, Miss.
Does it meet the requirements in terms of its size?
Yes, Miss.
All right, good job. So where do you want me to place sofa C?
At the top right.
At the top right. All right. Right here?
Miss, it didn't move on my screen.
Are you
Yes,
seeing it
Miss.
now?
Yes, Miss.
What is missing? What is
The,
missing?
the label.
A label. So I need to label my sofa. Okay, boys and girls. So let us just look at our grid. Are we seeing? Do we have all the furniture in our room?
Yes, Miss.
Do we have workspace available?
Yes, Miss.
We can move from bed to dresser and from bed to the sofa and sofa to dresser, right?
Yes, Miss.
Good job. Now, boys and girls, remember, this is not the only way. Other persons could have arranged their rooms in other ways. This is just a sample. This is just to show you. Other persons could put it in their own way. But we have to remember that we must have workspace. Okay, boys and girls? Good job. So we have to remember that we have the available walking space. Now, boys and girls, we have arranged our room. We chose our recommendation. We placed our furniture in our room and labeled our furniture. Let's move on to the next task. Task 2, boys and girls. Now it's time to string some lights. All right, boys and girls. So you want to run a string of LED lights along the boundaries of your room near the ceiling. The lights are sold in interlocking strips of length 5 meters at a cost of $200. Boys and girls, I want you to pay attention to the sentences I'm reading. My first question is, what do you understand from these sentences? Let me read it again. You want to run a string of LED lights along the boundaries of your new room wall near the ceiling. The lights are sold in interlocking strips of length 5 meters at a cost of $200. What do you understand from these two sentences? Seeing the hands going up.
Okay. Let's go over to Jeduthan.
Go ahead.
Jeduthan, son.
I understand that boundaries, since we have the boundaries for the room, we would have to find the perimeter for the ceiling.
Okay, we'll have to find the perimeter. All right, so you're seeing that we're talking about boundaries, so you're saying we have to find the perimeter. All right, what else? Anything else? Anything else you're getting from the sentences?
Okay. Let's go to Cyprian Lindsay. Cyprian, would you like to respond? All right. Go ahead, Cyprian. I've unmuted you. Go ahead.
All right.
He's speaking, but we are not hearing.
Unmute yourself.
He's unmuted.
All right, let's
Let's go over to Darrell. Darrell, would you like to respond?
Yes, Miss.
Go ahead, sweetheart.
Miss, what did you say the question was again, Miss?
I want you to tell me your understanding of the sentences. Someone shared earlier on that they're talking about boundaries, so they're thinking that we have to be finding the perimeter. And there's another sentence that speaks to the lights are sold in interlocking strips of length 5 meters at a cost of $200. What do you understand from the sentence? I want to know. Yes, go ahead.
Miss, I understand that you're trying to put lights around your room, Miss, and one costs 200, Miss, and its length is 5 meters.
Okay, so the length of one light is 5 meters. Boys and girls, let me ask you, anybody know what LED lights look like? Anybody have those in the room? I would like it. Oh, so you have an idea what it is that we're talking about. So this person wants to actually put a string of LED lights in their room. Very good. Thank you for sharing. So you're saying then that the LED lights are sold in interlocking strips of 5 meters. Good job. So one person spoke about the fact that the boundaries, the other person spoke about the length. Now the next sentence reads, it's a question 2. What is the total length of interlocking strips of LED lights needed to fit the boundaries of your new room? That's our question. What is the total? Before you answer, I don't want you to tell me what we're going to do. I want you to tell me what you understand the question. What do you understand the question is asking you? What is the question asking you? What is the total length of interlocking strips of LED lights needed to fit the boundaries of your new room? What you understand from this question? I see the hands going up.
All right. Let's go over to Tori. Tori, would you like to speak? I've unmuted you.
Miss,
Tori Ashley, yes, go ahead, Tori.
Go ahead, Tori. What do you understand? What is the total length of interlocking strips needed to fit the boundaries of your new room? What do you understand from this question?
Miss, I understand that one strip of interlocking strip of LED lights, Miss, is 5 meters and one costs $200.
Okay. So what is the question asking us to find?
The total length of strips lights needed to fit the ceiling of the new room.
Okay, very good. Very good. So thank you for that. So what do we need to answer this question? What do we need to know to answer this question, boys and girls? Somebody mentioned it earlier, and I want to see if everybody was listening. What do we need to know to answer this question? Boys and girls, what do we need?
Yet?
The hands are going up.
All right, let's go back to the hands. I haven't seen anything. Okay, let's go back. Let's go to Jada Chambers. Jada, yes. I'm unmuting you. Would you like to respond? Jada Chambers.
Miss?
Would you like to respond to the question?
Yes, Miss. Can you repeat the question?
All right, what is it? We're looking at the total length of interlocking strips. What do we need to find to solve this problem? What do we need to find? In order for us to solve this problem, what do we need to know?
How many LED lights you want?
All right, so we need to know how many LED lights, but in order for us to find out, what's the first thing that we need to be able to find, boys and girls?
Oh. How much money should I
All right, so it was said earlier on, I give you a clue, we have our room and we have our door. We're going to be placing the interlocking strip around the ceiling of our room.
How much?
So what is it that we're going to be finding out?
How many meters of LED light?
But before we can find how many meters, what do we need to know? Boys and girls, thank you so much for answering. Thank you for trying. What do we need to know?
The total length.
All right, so I'm putting some clues on. So we're putting on the dimensions of the room. That's a clue.
How big is the room?
How big is the room? All right. What's the word that we need to look for though? That one word we need to be able to find. We're going to be finding the what?
Perimeter.
That's it. Good job. So we're going to be finding the perimeter. And so we know the perimeter would be 5 meters plus 6 meters plus 5 meters plus 6 meters. So our perimeter of the room is 22 meters. Very good. So we know the perimeter. Now that we know the perimeter, we actually need, how many lengths is it that we would need then? Based on the fact that we know how much we're going to put around the room. What did we just find, boys and girls?
The perimeter.
And the perimeter will tell us the total length. Good. All right, boys and girls. Now let's move into it. We need to find out then if one strip has 5 meters. So remember, we're going to how many meters we're going to? Our goal is 22 meters, right?
Yes, miss.
So 2 strips will give us how many in total?
10.
Good. 3 strips will give us how many in total?
15.
And 4 strips will give us how many in total?
20.
So, boys and girls, we are supposed to be going to how many? Based on what our perimeter, how much should we go to?
22.
However, what do we notice about our strips? They are sold in what?
5 meters.
5 meters. So can we go to 22 meters?
No, miss.
We will have to go to what?
20 meters.
But if we go to 20 meters, would that be enough to cover our room?
No, miss.
So what would we have to go to? We need another strip, right?
Yes, miss.
So we'll have to buy how much in total? What's the length in total that we would have to buy?
25.
25 meters. So we would have to buy in total, boys and girls, 25 meters of interlocking strips. Good job. Good job, boys and girls. And it's good. We're winding down. We're coming down to the end. The last part of our task says, what is the cost of purchasing the amount of interlocking strips of LED lights needed for your new room? What is the cost of purchasing the amount of interlocking strips of LED lights needed for your new room? So now we need to find the cost. How are we going to do that? Just talk to me, man.
Addition.
We're going to add. What we're going to add? Is who talking?
Demo.
Demar. What are we going to add, Demar?
The 200.
The 200. All right. So what's the first thing we need to note though? Before we can go ahead and add, what's the first thing we need to note? What's the first thing we need to note, boys and girls?
Let's go over to Amari Gordon.
Go ahead,
Amari, would you like to
Amari.
respond? Amari?
Amari? All right, so I'm giving you one clue. We know the length that we need to purchase. We already need to purchase 25 meters in length.
All right, let's go to Rami Mishka. Would you like to respond?
So I give you one clue.
Yes, miss.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Stephen.
The strips you're supposed to buy and the cost.
So we're looking at the strips that we're supposed to buy and the cost. So we need a total of 25 meters strips. So what is it that we need to know in order for us to make the purchase?
How much money do you have?
How much money? No, we don't need that. We just need to find out the cost. So how will we know? What do we need to know? How many strips we're going to buy for us to get to 25 meters? How will we know that? We need 25 meters of strips. We need 25 meters in length of the strips that we need. How many of the strips do we need to purchase in order for us to get 25 meters? That's my question. How many? Yes.
At 200 plus 25.
All right.
200 times 5.
200 times 25. But are we going to be purchasing 25 strips?
Yes, miss.
Let's think about the question again, boys and girls. We need a total of 25 meters. Remind me, how many, remind me, what's the length of one of the interlocking strip again?
5 meters.
5 meters. I see Brianna's hand is up. How many strips then would we need to end up with a length of 25 meters? Remember, one length is, pardon?
Miss, 5 multiplied by 25.
5 multiplied by 25. And that would give us, all right, stop a minute, boys and girls. I know we're all tired, but let us think for a moment.
Miss,
Yes,
5 times 5.
5 times 5. So if we have five lengths of interlocking strip, we will end up with our 25 meters. So that's what I want you to tell us first. How many of the strips would we need? So we would need 5. Now, if we have 5 lengths at $200 and we need how many of them? 5 of them. How much money will we spend?
Miss,
How are we going to arrive at that answer?
5 multiplied by
200 times 5.
200 by 5. So we can make an expression. We can have 2 groups of $200. So it means that we need 5 strips at $200. So let's see how quickly we can calculate our cost. We have 5 meters with $200. Another 5 meters. How much money is that we have in all now on our screen?
400, miss.
$400. So we're going to another 5 meters. How much money do we need?
700.
Pardon?
600, miss.
$600. 5 meters. How much money?
800, miss. 800,
5
miss.
meters.
1000, miss. 800, miss.
Good job. Now the total length that we have. So we have our 25 meters. What's our cost? How much money are we going to spend, boys and girls?
10,000.
$1,000. Good job. Good job, boys and girls. So there you have it, boys and girls. All of you stayed with me to the end, and we were able to complete our task. We were able to look at our room. We were able to find our furniture. We were able to make our recommendations. We were able to actually put our new furniture in our room. And to top it all off, to allow our new room to look cool and nice, we put in some LED lights, and we were able to find out how many strips we would need, the total length of LED lights that we would need, and the amount of money it would cost us to complete this task. Good job. Now, boys and girls, I want to leave with you some tips to consider when answering your questions, when going into your performance tasks. Remember, ensure you read the prompt or the instructions carefully. Read it over and over at least 3 times so you get the understanding. Just like what I did, boys and girls, highlight the important information from the prompts by underlining. Good job. Next, think long term. What is it that the question is asking you to do? And then think of the goal to be met in each task. Boys and girls, pay attention to details. Now, with these suggestions, I pray that you will go into your exam doing extremely well. Thank you so much for listening to us. And boys and girls, you can find us, remember, you can find us on YouTube at Region 5 Mathematics Team. You can, all of the names are the same. Facebook at Region 5 Mathematics Team, and also on Instagram, Region 5 Mathematics Team. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much for your participation. I wish we could have taken everybody, and I am really pleased at the level of enthusiasm that you guys displayed this afternoon. Thank you once more, and all the best in your upcoming exams. Have a good evening.